Hi and welcome. Today I have a new size. I filled up my homemade art journal, so I thought I'd try a new size. I don't know if I'll keep it or not, but we'll see. It's a 4x4 piece of Bristol Smooth with the holes punched round. I just haven't decided if I'm going to put it in a book or if I'm going to punch a hole in them. I just don't know what to do with it. Anyways, I'm starting with this stencil, and I think it's a Dina Wakley stencil. I'll have it listed in the description. And I'm going to use some texture paste. I'm going to use it across the whole surface. And remember, this texture paste is getting pretty thick, but I keep being able to use it because I'm adding 2 or 3 spritz of water every time I open it, and then I don't mix it in or anything. I just spray it in and then close it up, and it just absorbs for the next time. So as long as that will keep working, I am going to keep doing it. So I'm spreading it just so it's level with the stencil, and going to dump the stencil into a bath of water, and then this has to dry. So it is now dry, and the colors I wanted to use were seedless preserves, tumbled glass, and then a green. I debated between shabby shutters, which is what I ended up with, but I did actually have bundled sage out to begin with. So you'll see me squirt bundled sage a little bit, but mostly it's shabby shutters. But I didn't have a spray in seedless preserves, so I just took my ink pad and I rubbed it in different places. I didn't want to rub it all over because I don't want it everywhere, but just kind of rubbed it onto the stencil, and then just use the stencil to lay down color randomly. I want the whole page covered with color. I just want it to be, the 3 different colors. And I think it's important to dry in between colors just so your colors don't run together and make a muddy color. So here I'm just doing a little bit of, well, I do more than I thought I was doing, of bundled sage, and I spray it down and roll it off, and so I get a lot of it back up, but and so I don't use any more of that. It just was too drab. I wanted a brighter green. So even though you see it now, you won't see much of that in the final product. And so here I am spraying on Shabby Shutters, which really is one of my favorite greens. It's such a pretty green. And the blue is just going to be like a minor player. So I'm adding a little more seedless preserves. use this color very often, and now I've used it twice in a week. So I do kind of like the formula of two majors of color. In this case, it's my shabby shutters and the seedless preserves, and then a minor. And I'm using tumbled glass as the third. Broken china, I think, would be really good as well. I mean, salvaged patina may be, I don't know. I think the other ones might just be a little too dark. And so now I'm going to add some spritz, some distressed spritz in those colors. I'm using, or close enough, I am using seedless preserves. I have 3 purples. I'm not a purple person, but I don't know, it was a sale at Michael's and I grabbed a 3-pack of purples in the spritz. The green is crushed olive instead of shabby shutters, but to me that does not make a big difference. And then the blue, the only blue I have is salvaged patina, so I did spray just a bit of that on. And then I'm going to dry it all. Now the seedless preserves was an oxide, so it kind of started to look a little oxidized. So, and for other reasons too, but I decided I'm going to give the colors a seal and brighten them up, brighten the purple up anyways, with some distressed mica glaze. Micro glaze. I knew I was saying that wrong. And it doesn't take much. And you can do it with your fingers. If you don't want to, I usually keep one of my blending tools for the micro glaze. So I let that dry and I rub off any excess just to kind of buff it out. And I've kind of pulled a few items here. It was very difficult to find what I wanted as a focal point because I didn't want a busy focal point because my background is so busy. But yet I wanted it to go with, and then if I picked out something that was really plain, it just, I don't know. I had a tough time picking out a focal point. And I decided on this, I think it's a magnolia flower. I don't know, I think of all my choices, it was the best I had. And I like it. So to calm down some of the background, I'm adding some light color in my ephemera. Everything I'm using is digital downloads except for the sentiment. I'm using some vintage photo to go around the edges. And there's a spot right there that I just left too much white edge on it. I'm pretty fussy about my fussy cutting. And then I had this strip. I'd stuck it in my paper strips bin, but really it is a strip of paper from one of the flower junk journal pages, digital download. And it was just a strip I had left, and it had some purples and some off-whites in it. And so I thought, actually, that would be perfect. So another reason to save your scraps. You never know when it'll be the perfect piece. And the circle is also from a junk journal page. And I'm not even sure what it said. The only word I can read there is election. And I know it wasn't a political thing, so I'm not sure what it said. I'll have to look at it. And I'll probably print out another one because I think I've used a lot of that page. I don't know if there's anything left. And then I'm also going to use a number from one of my number digital downloads. And so I'm going to start gluing. And my advice here is gluing onto texture paste is sometimes difficult. And sometimes I get too impatient with finishing that I don't take the time I need to hold it there to secure it. Like, I should just hold that down and not move on. But I move on, and it ends up being more glue and more time doing it again because it just did not adhere. So texture paste is different. You have to apply a little pressure for longer and just to keep it in place. Once it's glued though, it'll stay. See how that's coming up right before your eyes? So I gotta redo it. Now this piece for me is kind of, I gotta be in the right mood to do something this, I like color, but this is pretty out there for color. The blue and the green I could see me doing, but adding that purple is not something I would normally do. So I wanted to make sure that I tucked the stem of the flower behind the paper strip. That's why I'm fussing with it so much, is I want to get one end behind the circle, and then I want it on top of the flower stem. and then adding the number. I think you wouldn't recognize my pieces if they didn't have a number on them. And then I'm going to add a little sentiment, and it's from the Tim Holtz Small Talk, and it just says live in the moment. And that is it. I got some final pictures coming up. If you haven't subscribed, I invite you to do that. If you like this piece, hey, give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Either way, I will see you next time. And the final pictures are coming up about now.